You're listening to the Future of Convenience podcast, brought to you by Global Convenience Store Focus, featuring senior retail executives and experts in the global convenience, fuels, and mobility retail industry. Hosted by Dan Munford, Nick Scherzer, and Carolyn Schnare. Welcome to the special episode of the Future of Convenience podcast. I'm Carolyn Schnare. I am super excited to be joined by my friends Dan Munford, Frank Gleeson, and Nick Scherzer to exclusively announce the winner of the Best Foodvenience Store in the World competition. So we have a whole lot to talk about here in this episode, but I think we should just get right down to the point and the reason why everyone is tuning in today. So with that, Dan, are you ready to announce the winners?
Well, yes, with pleasure, Carolyn, with pleasure. So this has obviously just gone out on LinkedIn. Many people will have seen it on LinkedIn, but let me just reiterate the final results for the top three. So in third place, Dashin, Chantilly, Virginia, USA. Congratulations to them. In second place, FGC, Lion Place, Canning, Argentina. Huge congratulations to those guys. And in first place, Applegreen, Rathcoole in Ireland. Applegreen are the winner. That's the result.
Woohoo! Big clap all around. Congratulations.
It's just been an amazing process, Carolyn. We were just talking about it as a team, and I was just saying, what a pleasure it is to work with. I feel like I'm in the pit stop of the best Formula One crew in the industry. And this has just been just an amazing contest, and everyone at this side on the team here has put so much into it. But we started off with 32 entries. Some seems like months ago, and they were stunning. 32 stunning entries. Then we went to the judging process, and we had 12 of the best known, most knowledgeable people in the industry assess those 32 entries and get us to a top 12, which we needed to get to in order for the vote. We were expecting, thousands of votes, because on our best EV Hub competition, we got 2,300 votes altogether. So we hoped to beat that. We thought we might even double it. And we got up to, over 9,000 votes, 9,115 votes, which really blew our minds, to be honest. And, the more you think about it, there were 9,115 people who wanted to get involved and engaged with our competition. And they each voted 3 times. So, I suppose what we could say is we actually had 27,000 votes,
Wow.
And these are big numbers, these are big numbers. I mean, we're a very important global industry, but if you think about the key people in our industry, the decision makers globally, and you think about some of the biggest events in our industry, like the NAC show, which attract 20,000 plus people, we're getting into some of those numbers in terms of engagement, so just delighted with it all.
It is incredible, and I appreciate to have been part of the team that helped pull this off. And I think that the numbers are just astounding worldwide. How many industry folks really got engaged in this? And Frank, I don't know if you want to jump in here real quick and just talk to the magnitude of this, but Dan, team, congratulations on just running such a successful campaign.
Yeah, Carolyn, I mean, listen, this is truly a global competition. We have winners from 3 separate continents, which tells me clearly that convenience, foodvenience, and excellence and best practice exists every part of the world. So I'm hugely proud of the work that you and the team have done to find 32 entries, to get it down to 12 finalists, but ultimately give us 3 really outstanding winners. And while Applegreen tops the poll, I was super impressed with all the entries. I mean, there's 12 in total that we looked at in a deep way, but everybody deserved to be there. And, Applegreen's come out on top, and I'd say it was pretty close competition all the way through, because there was many stores that I visited that could have made that top 3.
Absolutely. And maybe a good time, Frank, to reflect on why we did it, why we do this. And of course, I guess that the number one reason is that, behind all those stores is a team of very hardworking people who just love the competition. Just think about the reaction that we got, Frank, when we walked, when we visited many of the stores, you and I, and of course, other judges did as well. And just, I think we one of the things that's surprising with this kind of thing is how important it is to the teams in the store. And of course, recognizing their success is a very important part of the competition, isn't it, Frank?
I totally agree. I mean, if you think about each of the entries, Dan, they were enormously proud of their stores, the work they had done, and they, really rolled out the red carpet as we went to visit. They put together amazing presentation videos, and some of them were so interactive. So, we really captured the imagination of the whole industry globally. I think there's many people thinking about they're going to get in next time because they want to showcase what they do and really show their teams that, they can compete with the best in the world, and they are as good as the best in the world as they put their business together. And the other thing I'd say as well, best practice was very evident. I mean, when I look at all the things we ask people to show us, concepts, people, technology, I really learned a lot. And, that was the idea behind it, Dan. If you and I discussed it, we said, how do we share the knowledge and the excellence globally so that the whole industry can move up, and compete stronger against the QSRs, take greater share of wallet for our customers, and allow our industry to get stronger and better. And that's very much at the heart of our industry, very much at the heart of NACS, and very much at the heart of the work that Insight has been doing for 20 or 30 years, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're celebrating that excellence, aren't we, with this competition? I mean, I think the other thing, and again, obviously, this is very important as well, is that for all the retailers who didn't enter the competition, and obviously, there's a lot more than 32 retailers who are doing an outstanding job out there globally. But for all those retailers and suppliers, who are, who do a very good job out there, it's fascinating for them to look at the profiles online. I mean, this is a live library of excellence, isn't it? Which is there available free to the industry. And, we've had huge traction on our Global Convenience Store Focus website, where retailers, suppliers, from over 100 countries have been looking at those profiles and thinking about, well, we could do that, or wow, we should do that, or well, actually, we're already doing that, we should enter next year. So that library is there, and it's a huge industry resource, and that will stay there. And those entries that have been prepared to share what they're doing, are really going to inspire the industry going forward, aren't they?
Yeah, I totally agree, Dan. And it's one of the things that struck me over the years that, and I'm a long time in the business, we continue to get better and stronger, and competition helps us do that. If you take even the Irish market, we had a lot of entries from the Irish market. They're all super competitive, and there wasn't much in it. I can tell you that now. I saw some amazing stores, a Circle K store down at Kill, operationally brilliant, absolutely amazing. What a store manager, Lisa, enthusiasm. What Spar, Thomas Ennis, no one better in terms of independent retailer driving his business on. Some of the work he's doing around shelf edge labels, dynamic pricing. I mean, I actually learned a lot, Dan. I'm going to be honest. I can't wait to see next year's entries. I learned a terrible lot out of this year's entries. And, anybody looking at this, you got to dig deep into the archives and have a look and see what you can take from it and bring back to your business to make your business better.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, very much so. And Nick, let's bring in Nick Scherzer and just think about the process behind all this, Nick, because I think it's very important that we talk about this and explain what happened behind the scenes. So maybe you'd like to take us in a deep dive onto that, Nick.
Sure, and Dan, before we do that, I think just picking up on the sentiment you and Frank have been speaking about. And I think from my point of view, this has just been a wonderful experience over the past couple of months. The spirit in which all of the 32 entries and participants have taken part within this competition and how it's brought the industry together. And I think in the end that congratulations to the top three, but even beyond that, congratulations to all 32 entries. And, Frank, you picked up on some of those ones in Ireland. And I think back to the beginning of the competition and, entries from as far afield as Kazakhstan, across the Middle East, the entries from Kenya, Egypt, South Africa, Australia, and all of those stores, I think, do an outstanding job. Frank, you mentioned it. There's not a lot between, even from first to 32nd. And Dan, on the principles around this competition, celebrating success in Foodvenience and innovation, but particularly on that point around recognition and recognizing the people who run these stores. I think it's been a wonderful experience. So Dan, just coming to your point in terms of the judging, the process and the criteria around that, I think from the outset, one of the things we recognize that this is a global competition. And so to think through, how we came to the shortlist and then the judging process, the principle behind that was to ensure that we got the widest range of views from as many people as possible across our industry, and then aggregate those views for a fair and transparent process to arrive at the top three. So it was a two-stage judging process. The first stage was the actual panel of judges. So we had 12 judges who came from around the world. Brett Barkley from Australia, Gazelle Valdez from Brazil, George Zeng from China, Craig Phillipson from the UK. We had Michael Davison there from the USA, Kartik Kapaldi from USA as well, Harry Miloff from the USA, Oliver Delaney from Coca-Cola here in the UK, Christian Warning in Germany, and obviously yourselves, Dan and Frank. And each of those 12 judges independently reviewed all 32 entries, submitted their scores, and the aggregated opinion of those 12 independent judges led to our shortlist. Then I think, as everybody knows, from that point onwards, we opened it to a public vote, online vote for our industry. And that took place through October. And Dan, you referenced the number of votes that we had. Over 9,000 people participated in that online vote. And I think one of the key things in that was, again, going back to that point about the aggregated view of our industry, so over 9,000 people, but critically asking them to vote not only for their favorites, so not just the first place vote, but who are their top three. And I think that's an important principle of this competition, because it's not just the first place vote that counted. Second and third place votes count as well. And the aggregate of that across the 9,000 people resulted, I think, in what is a really representative view of our industry, of an outstanding top three of Apple Green, Lion Place, and Dash In. So I think from that point of view, it's been a wonderful experience. And thank you to everyone who took part and voted.
Well, thank you for all your work on this, Nick, as well. And just a tremendously big project. This, so thank you. And maybe we should turn to the top three and just really give them a bit of time. Because they've deserved it. So, I mean, perhaps we could start off with Dash In, and maybe Carolyn, you and Frank could talk a little bit about Dash In as well, because maybe, Frank, you went across there, didn't you? And you were very impressed.
Yeah, Dan, listen, I committed at the very start to visit as many as I could, just to see, on the ground, does it match the expectations of a presentation or a video? And I'd have to say, in Dash In's case, I was blown away. This is an absolutely outstanding store. I did say in my post that it would be hard to beat, but it got into top three, and it absolutely deserves to be there. Super impressed with the work that Mauricio has done. Blackie, obviously, backing the guys. The store is a terrific, beautiful contemporary store, architecturally very good, look, feel amazing. The product assortment, outstanding, merchandising really strong, and some really good categories doing well. Beer cave, wine, really nice job. Plus the food service, I have to describe it as the best of the best. They've gone through Mauricio's experience, and he's worked with some of the bigger food service guys, the QSRs, and he's taken their hero products and brought them in and delivered them with excellence. Absolutely outstanding. I was blown away by the whole experience. Carolyn was with me on that trip, and I said to myself, wow, I had to drive up to Chantilly to find what I would consider one of the best stores in the world, and I didn't even know about it before it entered the competition, which tells me that pockets of excellence exist all over the world, whether it's Pennsylvania or whether it's Virginia or whatever part of the US that you want to be in, or in Ireland or in Europe or in South America. This store was an outstanding example of how to do it right. They had a couple of things that I really liked as well, Dan. So they had a greeter. Every customer come in was welcomed warmly by a senior member of staff. They had a community engagement program that was about getting people involved, local schools, local events, lots of things they were trying to do outdoor catering in. And you could feel the passion and the delivery, and the numbers were outstanding. So I'd have to say a very worthy number three, could easily have been number two or number one. And it's a war of inches, and certainly in their marketplace, they will continue to be successful in my view. Carolyn?
Yeah, I mean, I echo everything you just said, and they are essentially a neighborhood store to me. They're about 20 minutes from where I live, so I'm not there every day, but anytime I try to get out that way, I certainly want to go in there. The food is just outstanding. There is just so well presented. You can see it made right in front of you. The online ordering, everything is just perfect, and the special touches, the donuts made on site, the French fries, potato chips, everything made there. And then they had this, if you remember, the soda machines, the drink dispensers were all handcrafted, I guess is the right way to say it, but made through their channels, and it's just so personalized. And it is a hidden gem, and that area, as you noticed, is still growing. So I look forward to seeing what it's going to continue to grow into, but also as they continue to expand to other stores in the region, because I know they have quite a growth plan on that one, and the community aspect as well. They really tell their story so well. You see pictures of the kids and the food banks and everything they work with around the area. They have them on the digital signage in stores, and it's just really cool. And I'm so proud of them, and I'm excited that one of my hometown favorites made top 3.
This store can compete with the best in the world. I mean, it had every single element that's needed. So I'd strongly encourage people build those stores, make those 6,000, 7,000 square foot stores, put in all those different concepts, because customers will come and they'll stay and they'll spend more money. And I've no doubt that this is a benchmark for stores in the US.
Absolutely. Well, that was a great sum up of Dashin. Now, to the south of Buenos Aires in Argentina, there's a rapidly growing suburb, and that's where there is another pocket of excellence, because FGC Line Place Canning, wow, what an entry, highly deserved. Second place could have, as you say, Frank, could have been first place. Highly deserved, top 3 from FGC Lion Place. These guys, Claudio and his team have just done an exceptional job. They've taken big risks as entrepreneurs, and they've really gone after world class, and they've got there in Argentina. It's not just a gas station. This site is a carefully developed destination which redefines the roadside retail experience. So obviously you've got your Shell branded gas station, you've got the Mostaza restaurant, you've got the Lion Place store with its Havana franchise. Havana is one of the Argentina's leading coffee and chocolate brands. They've developed with phenomenal architecture, this incredible roadside retail experience, which obviously redefines the market in South America, I'd say, but also, very comfortably plays in the global game as well. They developed a whole restaurant format, Tan Grill, just for this, what they saw as a concept gap for casual restaurants, for a casual restaurant in the market, and delivered it, at an outstanding level. This was sort of open kitchen design, memorable fare, exceptional taste experiences, offering anything from ribeye, slow cooked pork shoulder, grilled salmon, gourmet burgers, incredible offer. And, all within a service station environment. And I think the other thing to say about Lion Place is, they were very open with their numbers, and that undoubtedly helped them on the global vote. Nick, it's one of your favorites, isn't it?
Dan, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think, when I saw that store's entry profile, I was just blown away. When you look at the customer offer, which you've spoken through already, you think about the operational excellence that they have at that store to deliver that offer. And then, they were very open in terms of their financial performance on that site. And so not only is it an incredible site from a customer offer point of view, but it's financially a very profitable operation. And I think that overall combination is one of the reasons it is so well known throughout South America. And so I was very pleased to see it make the top 3, because I think it's certainly world class without question.
Food service offerings, 80% of store sales, 90% of gross profit. Fuel sales 3 times the market average, store sales 6 times the market average. I mean, those numbers
they speak for themselves. Absolutely.
So we should now turn our attention to number 1, everyone wants to be number one. There can only be one number one. And Frank, it was in your hometown, Applegreen, Rathcoole, in Ireland.
Dan, absolutely delighted to see Applegreen win. I think it's a very worthy winner. Certainly, it has everything that we would expect from a modern convenience store food service, but then it has a few extra things. I think the collaboration with M&S has been extraordinarily successful. Consumers really like it. It's taken the market by storm, and I think that's one of the unique things. It's been well executed and well done. The other thing that I kind of would have mentioned in my own post was the new drive-through coffee. I mean, Braeburn's execution is better than the market leaders, i.e. Starbucks and Costa. It's just a step ahead. The whole experience, look, feel, the quality of the beverage, just the whole thing is a very brave step forward. So I think that's the small things that make you just number one. You've just done something extra above and beyond. And I think, they're a very worthy winner. Applegreen play to win. They've started from one store. Joe and Bob are very competitive. Fiona runs a great business in Ireland. I think, it's great to see them win it. I think it's a good testament to the entrepreneurship of all of the team involved in Applegreen.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I mean, thinking about winning teams, it's funny when you look back at the tapes of a winning team as they build up to the final, you can kind of see that they're a winning team. Perhaps you didn't always realize it at the start, but if you look back at the tapes, you can just see that they're a little bit, they've got a little bit of something special. And I think, hats off to Carl, the store manager in that Rathcoole site, and his amazing team, because they've got something a bit special, haven't they?
Absolutely. I mean, that site, from an operational point of view, is outstanding. It's outstanding from so many levels in terms of the customer offer. But Carl and his team really run an impressive site. And I think for Frank, and I'm sure you'll echo this sentiment, one of the things that stands out to me about that site, thinking about it now that it's won, is it's not really a new site. And I think back 15 odd years ago to visiting Applegreen Rathcoole, it did not look like it does today. And I think if you think over the years how Applegreen have developed that site as well as their others around Dublin and Ireland, you kind of see that progression of just moving up the gears, getting stronger and stronger, and just an absolutely world-class site, I think, in operation.
I think that's an important point, Nick. I mean, it doesn't have to be a brand new greenfield location for you to do an excellent job. And, I'd say fundamentally, if you can put the right components into a good site that's in a good location, that's actually the right way to go. And hence, I think, we should continue as an industry to develop and put things into our sites that actually will improve the customer experience, but more importantly, lead to greater levels of profitability and more sustainability in terms of networks.
Absolutely. So there we go. We've got a very successful top three. They all deserve to be there. Dashin, FGC Lime Place, and Applegreen, who came first. So congratulations to them. Congratulations to everybody who made the top 12, because that in itself, was a huge achievement. And thank you to the 32 who took part and made this, such a special experience. So Carolyn, handing back to you, thank you very much for giving us a chance to talk this through. And, we look forward to celebrating with those guys, and particularly obviously with Applegreen, because we'll be going to Rathcoole, and we'll be making a special video that really captures that store and captures the unique team that operate it.
Absolutely. And I think that we would love to hear from them as well. We'll hope to get them all on the show at some point in the near future. And all those entries, as you mentioned earlier, are online at Global Convenience Store Focus website. And with that, congratulations to Applegreen, and also congratulations to Lion Place and Dashin. Thank you so much to the competition sponsors Invenco by GVR, the Mosley Group, and the Coca-Cola Company. Thank you, Dan, Frank, and Nick, for your time today. And thank you for listening to The Future of Convenience. You've been listening to the Future of Convenience podcast, produced by Dan Munford, Nick Scherzer, Jenna Ferguson, and Lorraine Evans. It is produced, edited, and mixed by Carolyn Schnare, and music is provided by Jukebox Music. Tune in every other Friday for new episodes, and please subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Learn more at globalconveniencestorefocus.co.uk.